You ever notice how the most powerful men in music always got some kind of secret chasing them? Well, Jay-Z just walked away from a federal paternity lawsuit again. But this time, the case wasn't just thrown out, it was crushed, silenced, and locked away like it never happened. But here's the thing. Why is this man so determined to avoid a simple DNA test? I mean, this isn't the first time someone's claimed to be his hidden son, and it definitely won't be the last. The story behind Rymir Satterthwaite, the 31-year-old man who's been fighting for years just to prove Jay-Z is his father, isn't just some wild rumor. It's got decades of legal drama, missing documents, powerful lawyers, and now, a final decision. But did the courts really deliver justice, or just protect another billionaire from getting exposed? Before all the headlines, lawsuits, and internet debates, there was just a kid named Rymir Satterthwaite, born in July 1993, raised by a single mother in New Jersey, and told from a young age that his real father was none other than Sean Carter, better known to the world as Jay-Z. According to Rymir's late mother, Wanda, she and Jay had a brief romance in the early 90s, long before Beyonce, before ROC Nation, before the Billions. Wanda was just 16 at the time. Jay-Z, allegedly, it was a different time. And Jay-Z wasn't the icon he is now, just another young rapper trying to make it in the game. But after Rymir was born, things got complicated. Wanda claimed Jay ghosted her. No acknowledgement, no support, no DNA test, just silence. And for years, that's where it stayed, a whispered family secret. But as Rymir grew older, the questions only got louder. His resemblance to Jay-Z, the timelines that matched, the lack of answers, and eventually, the fire inside him grew into a mission. Find the truth, no matter what it costs. But what started as a simple paternity request turned into a legal war that would span more than a decade, and it all began with one bold move. Rymir's battle for the truth didn't begin in the spotlight. It started quietly, back in 2010, when he and his mother tried to bring a paternity case against Jay-Z in New Jersey family court. But right from the start, they hit a wall, not because of evidence, but because of technicalities. See, Rymir was already 18 by then, and according to the court, he was too old for a standard paternity claim. Let that sink in. A man asking for a DNA test to confirm who his father is was denied simply because too much time had passed. But that didn't stop Rymir over the years. He and his legal team kept pushing filing motions, submitting affidavits, and even going public with documents they said were altered or hidden to protect Jay-Z. There were claims of judicial bias, mysterious paperwork errors, and court clerks who allegedly changed filings behind closed doors by 2015. Rymir went full force, launching a campaign to bring attention to what he said was a cover-up. He even appeared on talk shows and YouTube interviews, showing old photos of himself and Jay-Z side by side, pointing out the resemblance, and asking why Jay wouldn't just take the test. Then in 2023, 13 years later, Rymir filed a federal civil rights complaint. This wasn't just about paternity anymore. Now he was alleging that his constitutional rights had been violated, all to protect a billionaire from being held accountable. And that's when Jay-Z fired back. Now let's be clear. Jay-Z never once publicly acknowledged Rymir. Not in a song, not in an interview, not even through a lawyer. But when that federal complaint dropped in 2023, Jay's legal team didn't stay silent. They came down hard on court documents filed earlier this year. Jay-Z's attorneys didn't just deny the allegations, they called them deliberately fabricated, harassing, and legally, they claimed Rymir had already lost in state court, and this new lawsuit was nothing more than an attempt to reopen a dead case. But here's where things get messy. Jay-Z has never taken a DNA test to definitively prove or disprove the claim. Not once. Even when Rymir's side asked the courts to enforce one, the answer was always the same. Deny on the grounds of procedure, age, or jurisdiction, every excuse but the truth. In fact, Rymir's legal filings accused Jay's legal team of using procedural gymnastics to avoid ever having to address the core issue. Because without a DNA test, the question would always linger, and Jay could keep it sealed behind legal armor. So in early July 2025, Jay-Z's team filed a motion to dismiss the case once again. And this time, the court listened. On July 11, 2025, the gavel finally came down, and with it, Rymir's case was officially dismissed. The judge agreed with Jay-Z's legal team, stating that the federal court didn't have the authority to reopen or override previous rulings made at the state level. Just like that, over a decade of fighting ended with a single court order. No trial, no testimony, and once again, no DNA test. For Rymir, it wasn't just a legal loss, it was a deeply personal blow. After spending most of his adult life trying to prove who he is, the system told him, "You don't get to ask anymore." He wasn't just shut out of a courtroom, he was shut out of the truth. But here's what's wild. Jay-Z still never had to say a word. No statement, no appearance. Just lawyers, signatures, and silence. And the internet. It lit up like wildfire, because for a man who built his empire on realness, on family, and on truth to power, fans started asking, why not just take the test and end this? But that's not even the most explosive part. Because while Jay-Z stayed quiet, other celebrities didn't. While Jay-Z kept his lips sealed, the rest of the internet couldn't stop talking, and neither could some of the most influential names in hip-hop. Let's start with Nicki Minaj. She liked a fan tweet suggesting Jay-Z had too much to lose by taking a DNA test. It wasn't a direct shot, but from a queen known for choosing her likes very carefully, fans took it as a silent dig. And the barbs, they ran with it. Then came 50 Cent, the undisputed heavyweight of petty social media. He posted an Instagram story saying, "Y'all protect these billionaires like they Jesus. Just take the damn test, brr. You already know 50 doesn't pull punches," and fans took that as a full-on call-out on Reddit. The threads exploded. One user posted a side-by-side of Jay-Z and Rymir at the same age, and let's just say, the resemblance had people raising eyebrows hard. TikTok? Flooded with amateur lip readers, old interview clips, and deep dive theories titled things like Jay-Z's hidden son, the truth they're hiding. And Twitter, or X, turned it into a meme fest. One tweet went viral. "Imagine fighting for 13 years just to hear we still not doing the test?" Over to OK likes. The public wasn't just talking, they were demanding answers, transparency, and accountability. Because this wasn't just a tabloid story anymore, it was starting to feel like a power V's truth showdown, and people were picking sides. But even with all that noise, Jay-Z remained silent. And too many? That silence spoke volumes. Jay-Z isn't just a rapper, he's not even just a billionaire. He's a brand, a symbol, a cultural cornerstone. For decades, he's been the blueprint, the street hustler turned mogul, the husband of Beyonce, the father figure, the businessman who ain't a businessman. He's a businessman. But in the shadow of this paternity case, all of that starts to feel a little less bulletproof. Because let's be real, Jay's image is built on honor, loyalty, legacy. He raps about generational wealth, fatherhood, and fighting the system. He sits on panels about prison reform. He sells art, wine, and dreams. He tells young black men to rise above their past and be present for their future. So how do you reconcile that message? With over 30 years of silence toward a man claiming to be your son, that contradiction is what has fans divided. To some, Jay-Z is just protecting his name, a powerful man defending himself against a fabricated claim. To others, he's dodging the one question that matters, not in court, but in character. And this isn't just about Jay-Z. It touches a generational nerve about absent fathers, legal systems that protect the wealthy, and the emotional cost of being denied the truth. Especially when the man you're accusing is one of the most powerful voices in culture. Because even if Rymir's case never held up legally, there's still a story here that refuses to go away. And it's the kind of story that cracks the image, not with facts, but with questions that won't die. So now the case is closed and Jay-Z walks away without ever taking a DNA test. Legally, it's over. But emotionally, the questions are still louder than ever. If he's truly innocent, why not just prove it and move on? One test could have shut this all down, but instead, it's been years of silence, lawyers and locked doors, and maybe that's what makes this story so unsettling. Because for Rymir, this wasn't about money, it was about identity. And after all this time, the world is still left wondering, was this justice or just protection?